You smell that? Yeah, it's the smell of football because football is back, baby. Houston Texans football just around the corner. First preseason game against those dirty, cheating New England Patriots coming up on Thursday. And the Texans, head coach DeMeco Ryans, released their unofficial depth chart for the first preseason game. I'm going to be breaking that down on today's show. And possibly the biggest news coming out of this depth chart, QB1. It's the Rook, C.J. Stroud. He gets the nod after splitting reps with Davis Mills for the first couple practices. He's kind of taken the reins and, controlled this offense and proved why he was the second overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. C.J. Stroud will be QB1 for your Houston Texans going up against the Patriots. How much play does he get? I'm not sure. We'll see how long the ones get. He is a rookie, so I'm wondering if he'll get a little bit more extra reps than you would see some of these seasoned veterans quarterbacks. But I'm personally so pumped to finally see CJ7 out there on the field going up against some competition. I've seen all the highlights from camp. I've seen all the awesome throws, and I'm just so pumped to finally see the Texans' new franchise quarterback get on the field. And for the first game, I want to hear from you folks at home. What's your score prediction for the first game? I know it's a preseason game, but I want to know from you. Look into those crystal balls. Tell me, what do you think the final score of this preseason game is going to be? And you know what? I'm going to make this the pinned comment for today's video. It's going to be the very first one. I want you to go down there and reply to that pinned comment because, hey, if you get it right before kickoff, maybe there's a prize involved. You got to get it in before kickoff, though. So go down there to the pinned comment right now and get your score predictions in. If you get it right, hey, maybe a prize in your future. Going on to the next position on the offensive side of the football, it's the running back room. And, RB1, RB2, no real surprise there. Dameon Pierce, Devin Singletary. But Mike Boone has really been standing out in practice along with rookie Xavier Valade. That Arizona State guy, producer Jack, putting his forks up right now in the background. He's been impressing in camp as well. I'm really interested to see what these guys can do for the first preseason game. I don't know how much Dameon Pierce we're going to get just because, coming off his rookie year last year, he's a second-year player. He's a proven starter now for this Houston Texans team. I'm really excited to see what the rookie can do in Valade. I think he's going to get a good amount of run in this preseason game. Now going to the Texans wide receiver room. And this one was a little bit of a surprise to me as they listed Noah Brown as wide receiver 3. I guess, he was second in line behind Nico Collins for the wide receiver 1 spot. So in my eyes, he's the wide receiver 3. Tank Dell getting that wide receiver 4, jumping John Metchie as our wide receiver 5. And then Xavier Hutchinson, surprising a lot of people at camp, he's wide receiver 6. But the one that's standing out to me the most is Noah Brown. I wonder, Texans in 3 wide receiver sets, if he's going to be the third wide receiver out there, or if they're going to go with a Tank Dell or a John Metchie. I've heard a lot of good things about Noah Brown. He is loving Bobby Slowick in this new Texans offense. I wonder how much run he's going to get behind Collins, behind Robert Woods, and if he's going to jump guys like Tank Dell or John Metchie, Xavier Hutchinson. I'm really interested to see the rotation in this first preseason game of the Texans wide receivers, because that's probably the biggest question mark on this Texans offense is the wide receiver room and who's going to step up, who's going to stand out for this team. And that begs the question, I talked about him jumping Tank Dell, jumping John Metchie. Who do you think is going to have the most receiving yards out of these 3 guys? Do you think it's Noah Brown? Give me an NB in the comment section. Tank Dell, give me an ND. Or if you think it's John Metchie, give me a JM. I put ND because his real name is Nathaniel. I forgot to change it to Tank. You can put a TD or an ND in the comment section for me. Let me know who you think is going to have the most receiving yards for the Texans this season. Coming up next is the tight end room. And Dalton Schultz, tight end 1, been having a great camp so far. Tegan Quatoriano, he is going through some injuries right now. Same with Brevin Jordan. I don't know if we'll see them in this preseason matchup. And as we've seen the past week or so, the Texans have gone on and signed a ton of tight ends to kind of fill out that room. Tomlinson, Shrek, Dalton King, Murray, Nick Vannett. These guys, I think, are going to get a ton of the run. I don't even know if Dalton Schultz goes out there with the ones because he did, he's already practiced from coming off of injury, but I think they're going to kind of play it safe with Schultz, keep him on the sidelines for this first preseason game. But we'll have to see on Thursday night. Now going to the Texans O-line depth chart, I put an asterisk for Titus Howard because he's injured right now. He's out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand. The guy kind of taking his place is going to be George Fant. George Fant is going to step in and be the Texans' right tackle for, at least the preseason, possibly the first couple weeks of the regular season. But the Texans' offensive line has been the most depleted this offseason as we take a look at it once again, the offensive line depth chart. I mean, just look at all the injuries. You have Scott Quesenberry on IR out for the year. Greg Little IR out for the year. Charlie Heck has not been at practice yet, dealing with a foot injury. They've gone out and signed a couple of guys. They got Keaton Sutherland off of waivers. They got Rashad Coward. I mean, Michael Dieter, I didn't want to list him as both left guard and center, but on the depth chart, he was the backup for both the left guard and the center position. So I think Dieter's going to get a lot of run if there's any injuries on the interior of the offensive line. But, I mean, Titus Howard, that's a big blow to the Texans offensive line. I really hope he can get back in time for the regular season. And I'm going to keep you updated all the way up leading to the regular season. And that's why you subscribe to the channel, boys and girls. Go to youtube.com/TexansTV. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers on the channel. And word is, if we can get to 5,000 subscribers, possibly some regular season watch parties, some live shows for this Texans channel. We're one of the fastest growing channels here at Chat Sports, and I don't want to stop that anytime soon. So go down there, hit the subscribe button. If you've already subbed, go down there, send that link to a couple of Texans fans that say, hey, this guy Jeremy Chuggs is breaking down Texans news and rumors every single day. Now, going to the defensive side of the football, look at this. Look at this D-line. A lot better than last year. You notice the Rook is starting Will Anderson Jr. They slotted him in as the starting defensive end, and I'm really excited for Will Anderson. Great prospect coming out of Alabama. The Texans, obviously, they gave up a ton to go back up into the first round and get this guy. 1 pick behind C.J. Stroud. So a lot of big expectations for Will Anderson, but that's nothing new for this Texans organization. They've had high draft picks on the defensive line before. Mario Williams, Jadeveon Clowney, J.J. Watt was a first-round pick as well. So nothing new there. If we could go back to the defensive line depth chart, though, I did want to show one thing that kind of caught my eye. Look who the backup is for Will Anderson. It's Jacob Martin. He's been impressing a ton. The free agent signing, he was with the Texans early on in his career, signed again this offseason. He is the backup for Will Anderson, jumping rookie Dylan Horton and Chase Winovich, who I had as one of my losers from Texans training camp so far. But, nothing new on the other side. I had Jonathan Grenard, Malik Collins, Sheldon Rankins as the other starters. Jacob Martin, though, watch out. Going to the Texans linebacking room now. This was a big surprise for me, and I had him, another little pat on the back for me. I had Blake Cashman as one of my winners from Texans training camp, and lo and behold, Texans depth chart comes out. He is starting alongside Christian Harris and Denzel Perryman. Blake Cashman has really shown his stuff in training camp so far, especially in the pass coverage game. He has really shown why he deserves to be on this team, on the final 53-man roster. I really do think he's going to make it. Obviously, he's starting for the Texans in this first preseason game. If we can go back to that linebacker depth chart just one more time, he's jumped some other guys who are more notable than him coming in free agency for the Texans. They got Denzel Perryman. He's starting at middle linebacker, but they also signed Cory Littleton. They drafted Henry To'o. Garrett Wallow has been a part of this Texans team for a couple of seasons. Blake Cashman, though, a surprise for this Texans defense, a welcome surprise under new head coach DeMeco Ryans, who we all know played linebacker in the NFL. But I want to know from you, Obviously, they have Blake Cashman starting. These are the kind of the other guys that have been in the mix starting at different positions at the linebacker spot. I think Christian Harris, Denzel Perryman, I think they're going to be 1 and 2 in the linebacker room. But if you had to pick a third linebacker, who would it be? Blake Cashman, BC, Cory Littleton, CL, Henry To'o, HT, or Christian Kirksey, type CK. Going on to the cornerbacks, not much change here. Steven Nelson, finally a happy man after getting paid after that little dispute he had with Nick Caserio. He is listed as CB2. Derek Stingley, the B, is at CB1, and Desmond King taking over at the nickel back position. Shaquille Griffin, the first backup, the first corner, I think, in line to come in on nickel and dime packages for this Texans team. Tavier Thomas, also the backup nickelback. I think he could get some run as well. And then Kadar Holman, the Texans traded for him last year. He's listed as the backup for the CB2 position. Not a lot of movement here, but I think an underrated unit for the Texans. This cornerback room is going to be pretty dang good. And then arguably the best position group for the Texans on the defensive side of the football, it is the safety room. And I said it in a video earlier this month. This could be a top 5 safety tandem in the NFL, Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie. Jimmy Ward has played very well for DeMeco Ryans with the 49ers, now coming with DeMeco to Houston. And Jalen Petrie coming off an excellent rookie season. I'm really excited to see what Petrie can do in this second year. And I think Petrie has grown more into a leadership role, and he's become so much more comfortable now that he has a veteran in Jimmy Ward next to him. I've seen a lot of clips from practice where Jimmy Ward is kind of taking that leadership role upon himself, saying, hey, Sting, get me an interception right here, kind of guiding guys in the secondary, pointing stuff out. I think Jalen Petrie, he could be a surprise, top 100 player going into next year. He is going to excite a lot of people. He's able to get the ball. He's able to get some interceptions, some forced fumbles. I'm really excited to see the development of Jalen Petrie going into year 2. I'm expecting big things out of this guy out of Baylor. And this was, nothing a lot changing. Kicker, punter, long snapper, our sweet prince, John Weeks. There, Cameron Johnston at punter and Kaimi Fairbairn at kicker. But you look at the kick return, punt return, it's not a typo. It's the same guy, same picture. It's Steven Sims. And I said earlier, in my training camp winners and losers this week, Steven Sims was a loser because I really think he has a lot of potential, but there's a lot of talent in this wide receiver room. I don't know if they keep 7, but if he's starting as the kick returner, punt returner, the Texans might keep 7 wide receivers and keep him on the team for special teams. I don't know whether or not that'll be the case. He's the starter going into this first preseason game against the Patriots, but Steven Sims will have a lot to prove, and he'll have the platform to prove it in these preseason games. If he can be a reliable kick returner, punt returner, and help on other special teams, he could have a chance of making the final 53-man roster. Now, that has been today's video for you, breaking down the Texans' unofficial depth chart, and I just want to say thank you to all the real ones. H-Town, hold it down. I know all of you who made it to the end of the video, you're spamming your H's down in the comment section because you're real ones. You love the Texans. You bleed red, battle red. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. And let's go Texans. The season's right here. Let's freaking go, H-Town.